going back from that castle and moat approach and walled garden, whichever analogy we want to use, it's been shifted, and that corporate firewall is probably non-existent at this point. It's a the trust model is now the firewall. So there's three key objectives we want to concentrate on when we're looking at the network trust, and that's being able to handle attacks before they happen. We want to be ready. The attacks are out there, they are happening, but we want to make sure that we are ready and all the tools are in place, and we don't want to retrospectively have to deal with attacks, because that's always a harder approach to take. We want to minimise the extent of any damage and concentrate our efforts to seeing how fast it can spread. So obviously being alerted to an attack and how quickly we can react to the attack will limit the spread of the fire, to say. So we want to make sure that if there is a breach or there is a vulnerability being exploited, then we know the extent of the damage, we know what it's affected, and we can stop it from affecting anything else as well. We also want to increase the difficulty of compromise within your cloud footprint. So if you do have assets all over the place, there are tools like Azure Arc that are aimed at hybrid deployments. So I might have a VMware estate, a Hyper-V estate on premise or with a hosted provider, then I'm starting to move things to Azure. Might have some other stuff with AWS, might have some other stuff with Google. Suddenly I've got sprawling infrastructure and network services out of control. Then I need to bring that all under a single pane of glass, or at least have visibility of that. Then there's tools like that, as well as the Security Center and Azure Sentinel as well, which will help you understand your entire footprint. Also looking at threat protection, it's an ongoing it's an ongoing element to this as well. But how we can go about protecting network components from that is by filtering known threats. And they've kind of got known and unknown threats, which is kind of quite obvious, but known threats are established, well documented threats that technology companies publish handling on. And then there's the unknown attacks, which can evolve from known attacks, or they're completely new vulnerabilities that have yet to be protected against. But what we can do for those is by making sure that all endpoint access is protected with things like web application firewalls. When there's not web traffic or HTTP or HTTPS traffic, then we want to make sure we've got things like Azure Firewall to put layer 4 filtering and intelligence behind that, to protect our assets and endpoint access to certain environments. Or we can use things like Bastion services as well, and VPN services to make sure that we've got that tied up too. Looking at network best practice, this isn't something that's new. Being able to segregate environments, things like hub and spoke architectures, identifying and partitioning applications and subnets, being able to segment and enforce boundaries depending on their usage. So if it's an internet-facing service, then obviously I need to protect from that threat. If it's on-premise, then I need to protect against an on-premise threat. And if it's a PaaS service, I need to protect against endpoint PaaS services and things like that, or API management components as well.